Hello everybody, Troy from the Do-It-Yourself World and the Off-Grid Project. Today I want to talk to you about charge controllers, solar charge controllers. There is a lot of confusion out there on the market about solar charge controllers, and I'm going to talk to you about the various types of solar charge controllers. There are two basic types. There is PWM solar charge controller, which is pulse width modulation. There is Mppt solar charge controller, which is maximum power point tracking charge controller. Now, what I have here, I have three Mppt solar charge controllers on this wall. And I have, I'll show you here, let me open the box. I have a pulse width modulator solar charge controller for comparison. And here's the box for a Harbor Freight Thunderbolt Solar 500 watt charge controller. This is a PWM charge controller, and here is the actual charge controller itself. Very nice looking. It's a good device, but it's not a Mppt. Now, your average solar charge controller, your low end, is going to be the PWM. This one I bought at a pawn shop for $20, which I had planned on using in the off-grid greenhouse here. These originally sell, I think, for $50, $60, $70 in Harbor Freight. I've never used one of the Harbor Freight ones, but it looks pretty decent from its size. I've seen much smaller solar charge controllers. Now, one thing I want to warn you, first of all, PWM charge controllers are on the low end of the market, this one here. Mppt is on the high end, and I will say you get what you pay for. You know me as a budget man, budget DIY. If I can get it cheap, I will. But when it comes to solar charge controllers, the more you pay, the better you're going to get. And there is no scrimping on that. Now, there are on eBay and probably on Amazon fake Mppt solar charge controllers. Be careful. The fake charge controllers, now you'll see a real Mppt charge controller is a beast, a behemoth. These are 60 amp, this is a 60 amp charge controller. I think, I don't want to lie to you, is that the 60 TSM? No, there's no number. I think that was a 60 amp, 40-60 amp charge controller. I can't remember on the Renogy if that was a 40-50 amp charge controller. Alright, I think this one is a 10 or 20. I've got to check the specs again. Alright, this one is a 500 watt charge controller. Okay, so 500 watts is not bad, but there are charge controllers, they're about half this size in physical dimension. Alright, and they do not have cooling fins. Alright, see the cooling fins, that tells you this is a pretty decent charge controller because it's got the cooling fins. On eBay, there are charge controllers half that size being sold as a Mppt solar charge controller, and it is super light, tiny little device, and it is a fake. A really good charge controller is going to have these big cooling fins. It's going to be a big device, or it's going to have a lot of cooling fins. I can't really show you, but there's cooling fins all over on these devices. And that's very important, okay? Be careful you don't get burnt. If you're buying a Mppt solar charge controller and it's only $29 with free shipping, you're being cheated, okay? Very important. Don't get burnt buying a fake Chinese thing. I bought one off eBay for $29 before I knew better. This is how I learned about the fakes. It's white in color, and it's smaller than these, much smaller than my small ones, and it's $29 free shipping coming from China, and it didn't work. And the cost to return it would have been $35 to get a replacement device, so I ate it. That was the end. I didn't get a replacement. But I later found out it was fake anyway. So be warned, be careful with the cheap stuff. Now, a pulse width modulation solar charge controller, the little black one, is your basic charge controller, and for the bottom end, most of them are going to be PWM charge controllers. They will take care of your battery halfway decent, but they don't have all the functions of the Mppt. Now, there's another charge controller, very large in size, and this is also from Harbor Freight. It's the Thunderbolt Solar, only a 4 amp charge controller. This is a big boy because it's got a lot of cool outputs and functions and gadgets, but it's only 4 amp. It's only a 48 watt solar charge controller. So although it's huge, it's just because it's got all these neat gadgets and functions on it. Okay, this is a very cheap, very simple, although expensive priced, cheap quality, very simple, very basic charge controller, and it will kill your batteries with time. Cheap charge controllers will kill your batteries because the cheap charge controllers do not have all the functions that you need to maintain your batteries. And for those who may have missed it, I'll put the link on the video description and in the comments below to my previous video about solar battery banks and battery maintenance and battery care, and why a higher quality solar charge controller is so important for the maintenance and preservation of your batteries. So we've got really cheap quality, garbage, doesn't maintain your batteries, doesn't have all the modes to charge your batteries. It just puts power in until the voltage is up to a certain point and disconnects power. Whereas the better charge controllers, and I'm going to say, I'm guessing that this Thunderbolt one, because it's a very expensive, relatively speaking, 500 watt controller, and it's actually 2 times the physical size as the eBay ones. I'm going to guess that has a better better functions for caring for your batteries, which is you want to have the bulk charge, then the float. You want to get your main bulk charge and then your float mode, which levels off a little bit, and then you also want to have the equalization. These, to my knowledge, I don't know of a single PWM charge controller that has an equalized mode. I've not seen one. I'm not saying there is not, but you should equalize your batteries once every 30 days. If your charge controller doesn't have that, then you're not being very kind to your batteries. This is just an on or off charge controller. The cheap boy is all on or all off. So you're running it, it's charging your batteries, and when the battery voltage reaches up a certain point, it disconnects the power. This one pulses the batteries and has a little bit more circuitry to more gently charge your batteries and to care for them a little bit better, but still not as good as the Mppt solar charge controllers. Now, Mppt, maximum power point tracking, will get you the most energy into your batteries for your solar panels. And how an Mppt solar charge controller works is it has what's called a buck converter and boost converter built in. What that means and what it does is, let's say early morning hours, sunlight is just barely reaching on your solar panels, and your solar panel voltage is a little bit lower than your current battery voltage at that time. A standard charge controller will not connect your solar panels to your battery bank. You're not getting any charge. The Mppt will raise the voltage to equal the voltage of your batteries and push charge in, but you reduce your current a little bit. You're still getting charge. Now on peak sunlight, when your solar panels are cranking the power and your voltage is shooting through the sky, your Mppt charge controller will reduce the voltage to be equal to that of your batteries, while increasing the current tremendously, giving you maximum charge. Whereas the PWM charge controllers is all or nothing. It's just going to connect it to your battery bank, and anything above your current battery voltage is lost, just wasted. Because your batteries will take anything up to their voltage, and anything more above that you're putting into it is just gone. The batteries won't see it, they ignore it, and it's lost. So the Mppt solar charge controller is going to adjust the voltage to match that of your battery bank, giving you maximum charging capacity for any given time of day or night. Now, we are currently seeing dark gray skies nearing the end of the day, and I am in float mode. So the charge controller is doing what it can, although it throws 0 watts at this time. The charge controller does what it can to bring in some energy to your batteries, no matter what the voltage is coming out of the solar panels. So you get a lot more bang for your buck. Now the Mppt solar charge controllers cost a whole lot more, but you don't have to buy as many solar panels to get the amount of energy out as you would with a PWM or a cheaper solar charge controller. So you might spend a lot more on the charge controller, but you need a lot less solar panels to get the same amount of energy. So there's a trade-off, there's pros and cons, but I would definitely advise going with the Mppt if you can afford it. It is the very best for your money. So we've got the very cheapest, which will kill your batteries. There's no battery maintenance built into these cheap charge controllers. Don't buy an eBay charge controller unless you want to replace batteries every 3 years, okay? Or these cheap ones like this, do your research. It's very important to do your research and study online before you buy a charge controller. Read the reviews, okay? I read about this one. I knew this one was garbage. It's great for all the neat functions, which is why I keep these around. It is really great for all the voltage outputs. It's got a 3 volt, a 6 volt, a 12 volt output. It's got the 2 cigarette lighter sockets. It's got a USB output. I love that function about this charge controller. I love that. Now, installing a charge controller. I will, when we settle in, do another video and show you how to install solar panels when we settle into our new place. How to install charge controllers, solar panels, and battery banks into your home. That will be a new series or a new video I will do for you. For now, I'm going to very simply take the basic solar charge controller right here, and I'm going to explain to you very simply how to hook this up. Okay? First, the battery connection, plus and minus. Hook up your battery first. Never, ever, ever hook up solar panels to a solar charge controller before hooking up the batteries, or you will fry the charge controller, most cases. Okay? So, put your plus and minus, it's labeled, and there's a picture here. Very nice, neat. There's an image of a battery, okay? And there's a plus and minus. So you put your plus on the left and your minus on the right. So generally plus is red, minus is black. In the middle, port's there. And there's your battery. Now your solar panel is on the left side, plus and minus. So you've got your plus on the left, red, and your minus on the right, black. And then you've got your power coming into your battery bank from your solar charge controller. I never use the output. Right? There are 3 connections on your average cheaper solar charge controller. Sometimes the higher end ones have it as well. I never use this. If you want, it will limit and shut off the power to your home or whatever you're driving, whatever you're powering with your solar batteries. This will disconnect the load, your power or your inverter or whatever you're running, when the voltage gets too low for your battery bank before any harm or damage is done. So if you want to have a mindless system and don't want to worry about it, but you may end up getting all your power shut off to your house in the middle of the night while watching a movie if your batteries start to go low, or if there's a surge. So let's say your refrigerator kicks on and your inverter surges, all of a sudden your lights go out. So I don't use that. I prefer to watch the voltage on the batteries myself. Okay, I always monitor the voltage of the batteries myself, and I decide when I'm going to shut off my devices. So you won't ever find, so far to this day, you'll not see that I have anything connected to the load on my charge controllers. Alright, I just don't use it. It's great if you don't want to deal with it. If you want an automated system, it will shut off whatever you're powering, your lights or your TV, or whatever you're powering, automatically if the voltage of the battery gets too low. So, there's a nice benefit there. But, it's just something I don't like. I check my voltages continuously. 12.9 volts here. This one says 13.13 because it's got fatter wires coming, over here, coming to the battery. But I monitor my voltage all the time manually. I watch it myself manually, okay? So that's how easy it is to connect a charge controller to your battery bank and to your solar panels. Always battery first, then solar panels, and you have yourself a system. So we'll get into power inverters in the next video, so stay tuned and keep watching. This is Troy from the Do-It-Yourself World and the Off-Grid Project. By the way, be sure to check out the article where I usually have a lot more detail, a lot more information, and you can actually read it and absorb it in your mind and fully understand what I'm saying here. So check it all out, guys. Talk to you later.